All right, so we are here on a Monday, really looking, we've been talking about, it was brought up about, giving ourselves some space intentionally, like walking away from a project or, something that's really been kind of heavy on our mind, or that we're really maybe trying hard to make it work in our life and kind of, work on it so much that we giving ourselves the space to walk away and give some breathing room to, um, get a different perspective is really what we were kind of talking about. And like look at it from a different angle and just kind of feel it in a different way, and relieve some pressure, how beneficial it is that we can come back with a fresh perspective and kind of, come at a different angle and really see how it can reform and reshape in a different way, was really the discussion. So did anything come up for either one of you around that more? I just really like the idea of giving our mind a rest to really, relieve it so that it can expand a little bit more easy about whatever might be holding us back and kind of get stuck. But sometimes just walking away from it will, um, reevaluate some parts that we were putting too much pressure on.
Yeah, I mean, over here, I've kind of recently had a experience with that sort of thing where I've had this idea of a design for a purse in my head for months, and I bought the material for it a couple months ago, and it's just been sitting here, and I hadn't really gotten around to it. But now that I'm getting ready to have a couple of craft shows and be a vendor for the first time, I'm like, I need to make inventory. So I returned to that project. I cut out some pieces. I put together a sort of a pattern for what I was envisioning in my head. And I put it together as like a prototype. And it's just not quite coming together. And I think in this moment where I'm kind of on a time crunch to make products, et cetera, I need to just sort of step away from it. And whenever it's supposed to happen, the idea of how to make it work the way I want it to will come to me and I'll be able to return to that project. But for now, I think I'm just going to set it down, be okay with the fabric taking up space in my workshop, and just kind of work on other things that I have more of a concrete idea of.
Yeah,
That
I
really
like that.
reminds me a whole bunch of, I once read this book by a guy that like people always said about him that he just got so much done, and so he wrote a book about it and he said, listen, I think it was called something like the 48-hour day or something like that. And then like right at the beginning of the book, he goes, this is ridiculous. You know that nobody gets, like we all get the same amount. There's nothing you can do. You can't save it up. You can't. He's like, here's the whole essence of the book was, he said, essentially, when I lose focus, when I lose momentum, when I lose motivation or interest in anything, I just switch faster than other people. He's like, if I don't like what I'm doing, I just do something else. And then I come back to it later. And he said, so, like, I know this is a thing that nobody wants to hear, but I just don't stay doing stuff that isn't working for me. I go do, if I'm sick of cleaning the kitchen, I go clean somewhere else. I do laundry instead. I work on work. And that's kind of what he was saying. If you're sick of working on work, go do something else that needs to be done and come back to it at a different time. And I just thought, that's pretty cool advice for those of us that have the opportunity to, isn't it interesting how we have the opportunity to be flexible, but sometimes we think we're supposed to be we're supposed to do it this way that seems like the right way, even though that's the very reason we're not at a job, is because we hate doing that. It's so funny to me because homeschoolers do it too. Like we like decide we're going to homeschool and then people will set up their house just like a school. It makes me laugh every time, but we do it when we work from home too. And I just thought that was really a great thing to say, that you know, just do something different and do something that lights you up in that moment. And that's kind of the essence of abundance, right? Like your whole day, then you're just lit up doing what you like.
Yeah. You just described like we take ourselves out of one box and then we put ourselves in our own
Yeah,
box, right? We put ourselves in our own box because it was our own construction. But is it, right? It's the autopilot of
Yeah.
going back to what we know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you for sharing,
Good.
ladies. We're at the top of the hour, so we're going to pause here.